Hello, Jamaica. Welcome to another program of Centrally Speaking.
The program that opens up the conversation around important matters of economics and finance, matters of national importance that have an impact on your life. I'm Sheena.
And I'm Anna. Welcome, everyone. And if this is your very first time, we are especially excited to have you. Stick around. We have some important economic updates that you will learn from.
So, as Jamaica, along with the rest of the world, grapples with the effects of conflicts in various regions, giving rise to economic uncertainty and rising commodity prices, we will be speaking with Mr. Richard Pandohie. He is the Chief Executive Officer of the Seprod Group and a former member of Bank of Jamaica's Board of Directors. He has been a prominent voice on topics as diverse as COVID-19, supply chain disruption, trade wars and tariffs, Ukraine grain, and international tensions.
But before we get to the interview with Richard Pandohie, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? You know what time it is, right? It's time for Street Check.
Street Check.
How have you been dealing with the rising of goods and services due to the recent war?
Like rice and them something them would buy. Me buy like me 10 pound half bag of rice. Me can't afford it no more. You understand me? Me have to buy like all 5 or 2 pound every other day.
Yeah, I'm not really to watch price, you know, because to me a trade man, I just work with it, anything come by, because time will come, everything not going to stay one place, so I'll keep on moving.
Well, the gas price have mashed me up, because every time I put in a $2,000 gas, I still have to put in more, and now work out.
It's been a bit crazy because with the expenses of everything gone skyrocket, a lot of people know it affect them big time. Because even the basic necessities that people need, it's a lot more harder dealing with that now versus so we did have way before.
Everything we have to just try budget and try find other sources because we have to live and the economy have to grow and things are going to raise.
Lovely to hear from our peeps in the streets.
Yes, always great to hear answers from our fellow Jamaicans. Thank you for making the program spicy.
And now to our guest, Richard Pandohie, Chief Executive Officer of the Seprod Group. Richard, welcome to Centrally Speaking.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
So Richard, no doubt you're one of the most candid voices in the private sector space. Considering the global disruptions that have caused rise in food prices, it's changed the supply chains and other kinds of disruptors. What is your view on these global movements and how they're impacting Jamaica's economy?
These things are very serious. So we have a number of things happening geopolitically that have converging. We have the China-US tension, we have the issue in the Middle East, we have climate conditions affecting agriculture outlook. And then, of course, Jamaica just had a massive external shock with Hurricane Melissa, right? So everything is converging at the wrong time for us. And then, people want to compare this to like COVID, post-COVID. So in COVID, it was a little bit different. It was chaotic. It was just completely disruptive. This one feels more structured. It feels like it's here for a longer term. And it's clearly a very serious situation. And, we are, as an import-dependent country, we are very, very vulnerable to what is existing globally. And we talk about food price, but it's affecting all prices in all categories.
Seprod touches a wide variety of things, whether it's flour, snacks, and so on. When you look at the geopolitical tensions between US and Iran and the issues that are happening now in the Strait of Hormuz, the impact on oil and fertilizer, what is that transmission from there in terms of supply chain to us as it hits us at the counter?
So the transmission is very direct and very rapid. It's almost like I keep using a term that we're at the beach and a tsunami is coming, but the beach is calm. You feel calm because it's so subtle, right? So, every week, for example, at the pump, gas price has been going up by $4.50 because the maximum it can be raised by Petrojam based on their previous pricing policy. And people just absorb it, right? And airfare kind of go up, check bag rate kind of go up. You just absorb it. So it's happening in a very slow way, like lobster in cold water you put to boil. But it's actually very intense and very structured. Our entire price mechanism is being elevated. And, we Seprod cover a wide, we're in agriculture, we're in distribution, in manufacturing. You already see price changes throughout the business. And what we have to be doing now, and all the companies have to be doing now, is that you can't pass this on to your consumers because you're getting hit everywhere. Every single point of purchase in your pocket is changing, whether it's your light bill, your gas bill, your transportation, things like makeup, all the packaging prices are going up. Everything, people look at oil as petroleum, but they don't see the byproducts. All your packaging, is byproducts, your fertilizer. I mean, your makeup. I mean, those things are, Vaseline. Those are all oil byproducts. So people are not seeing all the connections and therefore not understanding how it's, technology. I mean, it's coming through rapidly through the system. So, from where we sit, this is a structured long-term situation, and you have to adjust the whole strategic and your tactical plans to counter this or to mitigate this. But our prices are going to be elevated. That is unavoidable.
What I hear you saying is that we're moving from a sort of episodic kind of impact on prices to something that is more long-term, like a new normal. And speaking of that, there is the fact that our food import bill is roughly 5 times our exports. So with this kind of new normal, you've warned before that the global direction towards self-protectionism and self-insurance is going to keep affecting our prices. So how much more relevant is your previous warning?
You make a very, very interesting point and a key point. So in the pandemic, it was disruptive as one time, right?
Right.
And remember the pandemic, they say it was a once in 100-year situation.
Yes.
I feel like every quarter
is 100 years.
It's 100 years. So the disruption has now become our new norm.
Exactly.
And therefore we have to adjust the fact that disruption is going to seem to be happening like an annual event. That's a new thing. That's a new situation. In the case of Jamaica, we've always been import. We're an island. We're going to import. I mean, that's a reality. Majority of raw material, finished goods, everything is imported. In fact, the latest statin report that came out in this year, I think last month, said that our food import bill, let's use food, is now up to almost 1.5 billion US, coming from 1.37 last year, this highest ever. At the same time, our export is declining. Our export declined 13%. So basically, our imbalance is widening, right? And therefore, we're very vulnerable. Now, in the past, right, when the world was globally connected and, you had, rule-based system, countries that imported a lot for their food, it was fine because you could always access it. It was available. It was efficient. And therefore, you got away with that. You could feel food secure by importing. But now, everybody do them one thing. They will protect themselves, right? The rules are now based on national interests. This is the tariff situation, the counter tariffs, right? When elephant fight cockroach, you get mashed, And and that's the reality. So we are now even super vulnerable. And that import increase, a combination of not only importing more, but the price of the imports have increased. And therefore, I think, my warning, my thing to Jamaica for years was that we have ignored production, productive capacity. We have become such an important distribution-dependent economy, a service-led economy, and nothing is wrong with service economy, but you have to have multiple pillars to build resilience. We're not building resilience. And that is where I have an issue. And I think this situation is showing us exactly what's happening. I mean, all the strategic assets in the world are now being weaponized. Trading routes are being weaponized. Oil is being weaponized. Food is being weaponized. And we have no weapon. I mean, it's true. So we're going to have to kind of look now to say, how do we build our productive base, knowing that we'll always import, but how can we reduce our exposure to that?
So, Richard, I want to piggyback on something you spoke to. You mentioned the tariffs and the counter tariffs. So Bank of Jamaica predicted that the first round effects of the U.S. tariff situation would be moderate, right? Now, I want to, as one of the largest distributors and manufacturers within the Caribbean, share with us, is this in fact so? And 2, what do you think the likely second round and third round effects are that we are not looking at this point in time?
We're the top exporter in Jamaica for the last 5 years, so we can see it on both sides. So the way the tariffs work, reminding our viewers that, the U.S. imposed tariffs on goods coming to the country.
Right.
Now, every time something is made in the U.S., for example, which is our largest, that's where we import more than 40% of our stuff from, raw material or finished goods. They're bringing in raw material, they're bringing in equipment, and they're putting tariffs on those, so it raises the cost of production in their country, which we then buy. And so what you have seen is that prices have moved up. If you speak to somebody who imports furniture in this country, their price move up 4 to 5% after the tariffs, right? So we're actually importing inflation as a result of changes that's happening in the U.S. Now, I believe that the impact was more low than moderate. Why? Because people started kind of working around trying to find alternative points of import outside the U.S. I mean, China became more aggressive in advertising its goods. Remember, there are people online showing that oh, you buy expensive Dior bag, but we can,
Yes,
you know,
we make it right here.
make it
Same
right
thing.
here. And people
Yeah.
were doing that. So those kind of things are happening, and people were kind of shifting around it. And then the U.S. companies themselves were, you know, were all kind of work with the margin, so people absorbed, they took margin loss. So it was more low. I think going for, I mean, where it hurt was on the export. So people like ourselves, immediately our goods line in the U.S. had a 10% increase in export, in price. That impacted people's ability to offtake, because the U.S. consumer is now facing price increase everywhere. So it did impact the export. And I mean, I haven't delved into the numbers from starting yet, but the 13.4% decline in export, that could have been one of the triggers. So it affected from the yam, from everything that was coming out here. So I think the export is where it really hurt us more than the imports.
Is there an opportunity for Jamaica coming out of these global crises? For example, can we look to local sourcing for raw material? You know, you spoke to production earlier. Can we look there? Is that a viable place to look? We produce our own raw material, or can we even change the things that we're producing or consuming?
That's whatever crisis will come up to, but when you have so much crisis, Jaja, two crisis after crisis is too much. But I think the opportunity for Jamaica is, how do we move from just constantly talking to executing? I think that we are filled with people that have good ideas, who have been exposed, who know what we need to do. But the difficulty is moving from concept to execution. Now, you see some good things happening. I think in January this year in St. Elizabeth, the government opened cold storage facility and some agro-processing facility, which is a good move to reduce waste. 40% of the food we produce is wasted, left in the fields.
Right.
I mean, agro-processing gives you more value added, and you know, so those are good things. We just need to do more of it. We'll move too incrementally. We need to be transformative in the way we move.
A little more radical.
Radical and at scale. We have to do things at scale. We're a small country. We cannot produce everything, but what we can do, we have to do at scale. And we have to look for the bigger markets out there, right? And we have to look to how can we then work within the region to integrate. I mean, that is our next story with what happened in Trinidad and everything.
Course.
So, but the fact is that the lesson for me is a lesson. We know what to do. We know how to do it. We're just taking too long. And I just think that, you know, the crisis come, and then the crisis pass, and the lessons pass. I thought out of COVID, there are many lessons that we'd have adopted and move on with. It's like COVID never happened. I mean, you have to be reminding people about COVID and what we should have done as a result of it.
And what we can still do.
And what we can still do. And the fact is, what COVID taught us, when it comes to our crunch, people look after themselves.
Exactly.
Our friends and our neighbors and our big brothers had vaccines in storage, and we couldn't get none.
True.
You think when food become less available, or fuel become less available, we're going to get any? So we need to kind of grow up and realize that we have to start taking care of ourselves better, knowing that we'll always be vulnerable, but how do you reduce it?
That is a very strong point. To close this segment and go to the break, we're talking with Richard Pandohie. Stay tuned. More Centrally Speaking after the break.
Welcome back to Centrally Speaking. We continue our conversation with Mr. Richard Pandohie, Chief Executive Officer of the Seprod Group. So, Richard, before the break, you spoke to us about the geopolitical tensions and the implications for us as a small open economy. You also started to talk about food security. I want to delve into that bit of the conversation. You have been pretty vocal about the importance of food security and the investments in agro-processing. Do you think, given the severity of what's happening globally, that this conversation is now taking place at the right level?
I think so. I think when you listen to what's happening at the national discourse, so the Prime Minister, the Minister of Agriculture, etc., the discussion is happening at the right level.
Okay.
The disconnect is moving the discussion to action, and to action at scale. As I said before, I mean, we continue to do things very incrementally, and it has to be connected. I mean, it's, you know, people look at agriculture, but agriculture, they think about primary agriculture, growing something, yam or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the whole value chain. Growing it, putting value added to it, distributing and marketing, the whole value chain. And what does it mean? It means that, you know, when you look at Europe and the US, before that industrial revolution, that agricultural revolution. You have to have raw material to the value added. And then, as you then put the value added, They start doing innovation, R&D. They start need engineers to have equipment. And you understand how the chain does work, just move the value.
Of course.
And that's how it works. And then you also start to improve the health of a nation.
True.
You know, the tackling sugar, drink and whatever. The fact is though that majority of kids are food insecure, not because food is not available, because it's so expensive. They can't afford it. I mean, so, you know, several years ago, I took several ministers to Domrep next door and showed them in their school feeding program, everything has to come from the land. So what it means that the farmers suddenly have scale, because they have a market. They can go to the bank, get financing. They can invest in equipment. The whole thing connects. I think we continue to operate in silos, and I think that's an opportunity that we keep missing. We're operating silos in the country and not connecting it. We're not seeing no agriculture drive industry that drive, you know, we're not seeing the connection. And those are, and the ultimate drive productivity.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about a lot of these things, and at the end of the day, we're a low productive nation. I mean, we're in the bottom third globally in terms of productivity. Decades of decline. And the reality is that, you know, our growth has just come from more people working, but they're not working to drive the productivity. You can't grow. You can't become wealthy as a country if you don't have high productivity. And this is where we need to kind of invest in. And we need to get our kids, I mean, human capital. Don't start upon that. In this crisis, you realize that for Jamaica to really move forward, we need to start treating people, human capital, differently.
Yeah.
You have a constant conversation. Even in the private sector, we're short of people, short of people. We're not short of people. We're short of producing quality output when it comes to people. I mean, you know, you see the statistics. 50% of the kids pass CSEC with 5 subjects, including maths and English. So they don't even have the basic level to even go for further tertiary qualification, which is why 30% of our people have tertiary qualification. So we're producing output, but we're not producing quality output. And then it frustrates people because the cost of living in this country is high.
It is.
And if you're not earning at a certain level, it's hard to live without pressure and tension every day. But you can't earn at that level because you're not qualified to work at that level. So we're creating this vicious cycle that we really need to fix.
Seprod has delivered some strong results, and I want you to share with us what are some of the lessons we can learn, particularly coming out of such a volatile space that we're currently operating in. And what are some of the lessons that can be drawn at the national level?
Well, first of all, running a country is far more complex than running a private sector business. I mean, kudos to our ministers and the people who volunteer to work in the public sector like that. But in the case of Seprod, 12 years ago, I joined the company 12 years ago. We were 120 million in revenue. We're going to be $1 billion US this year. And we started a dream of saying, first of all, the region is our domestic space. We didn't say Jamaica is our domestic space. The Caribbean region is our domestic space. So I started thinking bigger. I started thinking scale. And it was important to do that. And you had to start invest in the productive capacity. We built our business by renovating our plants, putting in new equipment, building our people, using technology. And we have a long way to go now. We're not the finished article. We're a work in progress. But the fact is that we had a dream to grow outside. And we're saying, 30% of our manufacturing had to be in the export space. And we're going to reset that to a higher level now. But we had very clear things, and the pillars were very clear. And in the case of Jamaica, I think that we underestimate our brand. And that's how powerful Jamaica is and how far-reaching it can be.
Right.
I mean, other people are utilize our brand and we understand it.
And I make money.
And making much more.
That's why I admire the creative space, the artists, the man thing.
Right.
When they come out, even a man who just bust him first tune, he might think global, right?
Right.
We continue to diminish our ambition. And I just think that, we need to just have big dreams and bigger. We are a nation that has influenced the world in many aspects. There's no reason why we can't influence it from a production base. And also I think that the linkage is about value creation. It's not just about the sales, about the quality of the sales. So let's take the tourism industry, right? We incentivize rooms being built, capacity, more rooms. But we're not incentivizing value creation in the country.
Yeah.
We're not incentivizing the linkages. I believe that whatever incentives that we give when people are coming in, it should be built, part of it should be based on just creating linkages. Not only for people to sell more yam or scallion to the hotel, but to build a system where we're creating value added. We can create system at scale, consistent quality, reliability. So I believe that we need to reset how we think about Jamaica.
Speak to me about the linkages that you speak of. What are those? Give some examples.
I'll give you an example. So I like okra, right?
Yeah.
And Jamaica was short of okra one year. And the usual thing, we have boom and fire. Everything come one time, they have nothing, right? And then I'm into a supermarket in South Carolina. And I'm walking in the supermarket and there's a can with okra. It was simple. This is not complex manufacturing. I'm not about building a car in Jamaica. I'm talking about simple manufacturing. We're canning ackee. Why we're not canning a lot more stuff?
Richard, earlier you had said that Seprod had targeted 30% of your output for export, but considering, and this is in 2025, so considering the effects and the attendant fallout resulting from Hurricane Melissa, did you have to replot your export strategy? And if you did it include the Caribbean and other markets?
Hurricane Melissa didn't impact us really as in terms of the export. I mean, President Trump was bigger than the hurricane. The tariffs of 10%, then the 15%, that was a bigger impact to the US. And then Canada is going through, their war with Canada. Also, again, had a roll-on effect in terms of, Canada becomes super sensitive to price. That affected the exports there. But generally, our export targets have been aggressive. So last year was flat, but we are at the 30% mark.
Okay, good.
We're going to reset now to probably around 35 going forward.
Nice.
In terms of the region, we consider ourselves a regional company. At this stage, we have 4,500 employees across the region. We have footprints in Barbados, Trinidad, Guyana, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Dom Rep. So we have created a network to move our goods throughout the region. So, we're definitely a regional company. Export is very important for us. I mean, that helps offset the vulnerability in our own domestic market. Right? Also, we believe that it's a brand. We have brands that can be pushed out there that can create value. When you ask me what do I want for Seprod, if my answer is that I want Seprod to be the Jamaica I'd like to see. That's just my simple answer. I want to be a place that has regional presence at a minimum. Jamaica will be global. But where people can come to work and see themselves achieving a lifestyle and an outcome that can help them to, to be comfortable, to educate their children, and to be a place you aspire to be.
And I wanted to take this conversation to something you mentioned previously in the media. You spoke about the trust deficit between the public sector and the private sector, where we're not seeing ourselves as partners, but rather adversaries. And given all the shocks or the convergence of shocks that we're experiencing now to the point where it's impacting us in our pockets, what is the conversation the public sector and private sector should be having?
I'll take it a little bit further than that. I think there's a trust deficit in our country in general. A trust deficit in private sector and the people. Normally,
so it's a cultural issue.
There's a cultural issue. And the trust deficit is not made up, right? There are reasons for it.
Yes.
You look around and it's clear that, when you want to build legacy, you build legacy from a point, what do I want to leave behind? How do I want to change the world that I'm in? But if your legacy is about building just personal wealth, then you're going to do it at the detriment of everybody else.
Right.
I think we live in a country where we're a young country. We just had independence and there's a lot to learn. But you just get the feeling that we're not committed to raising the tide for, to raising for everybody. You get the feeling that it's, we're very selfish. It's about what can I get for myself, as opposed to, in my opinion, we need to create value where everybody can progress. Because nothing wrong with wealth, We should aspire to be wealthy. What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that.
But it can't be that the wealth remain the same and you want to take more of it from other people. And I think the trust deficit needs to be dealt with because people don't trust the system. You look at Hurricane Melissa and people, there was so much discussion about if the aid was being distributed properly, who was getting it. In the middle of a crisis, we still were questioning how things are being done to look after people. And I think that we need to collaborate, but we need to be transparent. And when we say we're going to do things, we do it. And if it's not going to be done, you come back and say why it never get done. But this feeling that everything is just for me and my people and me and my friend, is holding back this country. We need to challenge the system further and demand results and demand accountability. We're not doing that. And I think the trust deficit, honestly, will continue. I don't see, from where I sit, I don't see it changing. In fact, as in some cases, if you're not careful, you see it reinforcing. Because at the end of the day, people objective to look after themselves and their family.
Yeah.
And if you're not helping me to get there, then it's, what are you saying to me? And it happens in companies. I said to my staff every day, you walk those floors. You find what's happening in people's lives. You find what's impacting them, and find a way to make their life easier. Make it easier for our customers to do business for us, with us, and make it easier for employees to do their work. And yet still they see it every day. The minute you get like a power in Jamaica, it's like,
yeah, bro.
You have to prove some of the boss, and it creates that trust deficit. It's between private and public sector. I think there's been a lot of progress. I think there's been a lot of progress, and the difference is the pace.
Yes.
The pace at which things are done.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes one of us move like molasses.
Yeah.
And but you need to move fast. I mean, in this world of constant disruption and constant change, you can't afford to spend time just waiting.
Yeah.
You have to move as rapidly as the changes are moving, unless you'll be left behind every time. So I mean, kudos to, I think, improvement in the private-public sector relationship. But I think the bigger issue is that Jamaican people on a whole, for so long, have been at the wrong end of the stick. That trust deficit is what I'd like to see fixed first.
Thank you so much, Richard. That's a good note on which to end our program today. Just like that, we've run out of time, but thank you for joining us on Centrally Speaking. Stay with us. Return after this break.
Welcome back to Centrally Speaking. We have been speaking with Mr. Richard Pandohie, Chief Executive Officer of the Seprod Group and a former member of Bank of Jamaica's Board of Directors. He shared insights on how the disruptions in the global economy has disrupted Jamaica. From that conversation, here now are the fast facts. Number 1. Jamaica's food import bill is roughly 5 times its food exports. According to the last Statistical Institute of Jamaica report, it was approximately US $1.5 billion. Number 2, more than 40% of raw materials or finished goods brought into Jamaica are imported from the US, which leads to imported inflation. Number 3, around 40% of agricultural products grown in Jamaica is wasted. Capacity building through cold storage and agro-processing are expected to improve efficiencies. Number 4, Jamaica is in the bottom third internationally in terms of productivity, but scale, consistency, and reliability should improve this rating. And number 5, Seprod Group is now Jamaica's largest exporter, and as its CEO, Richard Pandohie, said, "Stop move like molasses, more action, less talk." And that's it for our Fast Facts.
So hear what now? That's our program for this week and for this season. This is the end of season 8.
So join us next season, season 9 for Centrally Speaking. I'm Sheena.
And I'm Anna. Thanks for watching.
Centrally Speaking is a production of Bank of Jamaica.